Hey everybody, welcome to Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. Today we do a mock draft for the expansion for the Seattle Kraken. Ooh, Jeff and Ian use their knowledge. How interesting is that? We do our knowledge. That's right, we use our knowledge and we pick a team. And it takes us 55 minutes. So I hope you have time. This is the longest show ever of all times. And if you get right to the end, you get a special little treat from us at the end. Oh, a special little Donnybrook breaks out. Let us know. I'm watching this with you. Let's talk right now. Let us know who your choices are for the Seattle Kraken. Welcome to the league, Seattle. Hello, Jeff. What a weekend. What of exciting times in hockey without anything going on. Oh, my goodness. Not one game played and everybody's excited. How are you?
I'm good. We're having a little laugh as we came on because you were telling me how massive my head was this week. And I don't know, right?
I know.
It's like, come on. So
well, you're on your phone this week.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
Computer, and you're like, how does my head look? And I said, massive. And then I hit record.
I was like, how can I get into this tiny Apple iPhone screen? So yeah, we're on our third device here.
You're the reason they had to come up with a bigger helmet.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I don't know. Do they make a double XL? I don't know.
I think they do. The helmets have gotten bigger. The helmets have gotten bigger. Oh my God.
So I'm squeezed in here. I don't have any backdrop this week, so I put a Detroit uniform and a Vegas Golden Knights uniform behind me. We're just trying to do the best we can with the limited resources.
Well, when you look at it, you played for Detroit, but you also played in Las Vegas for the Thunder, and part of that jersey you have in the background is part of the Thunder. That's why you enjoy that jersey so much.
I do, and you know what? That was very well done by you, Lord Bagg. Is it Lord Bagg this week? Yeah,
yes, it is Lord Bagg.
Lord Bagg. You kind of been on that high horse for a while, calling yourself the Lord, but
yeah. Well, I own some property, and I own square footage in Scotland. So, and by square footage, I mean 3 square feet of land in Scotland. That makes me a lord. And by the way, speaking of big heads, I remember I did a show once and Larry Robinson was there. And I said to him, I said, Larry, when you started to wear a helmet, you gave kids with huge heads a hope. You gave kids with huge heads a hope of playing in the NHL. And I wanted to thank you for that.
He's one of our favorite players of all time, and you took him down. I'm guessing he saw you in LA somewhere. Is that right?
Yeah, I did.
Hermosa?
No, I did a private show for them at one point. He was coaching there, and it was when not Dennis Potvin, the goalie Potvin was playing there. Felix was there. Felix the cat was there. So this was when I first moved there, and I remember I said to him, I said, how do you enjoy playing in LA? And he said, I love it. And then he got all scared and goes, I'm going to be traded now. I know it.
I think he's still in the game. I thought I saw him behind the bench with someone last year. I can't remember who, but Larry Robinson, one of the all-time classics, one of the all-time best.
Just a great guy.
The big bird. That's what they used to call him in Montreal, the big bird. And he came out to LA, and it's like, oh, that was awesome. So, yeah.
Didn't he coach the Jersey Devils to a Stanley Cup? Did he not? Was it or something? Right?
He got a Stanley Cup there, I think, as an assistant. But I don't know. We'll have to look that up. Anyways, there's one of the guys in the game that you will not hear a bad word about as a player, as a coach, and as a person. So, the big bird, Larry Robinson, was always one of my favorites. And, he was kind of like the big bird. You think he's friendly, but I saw him one night. There's a clip out there of him running Dave Schultz and absolutely obliterating him in the Montreal Forum. So when he got mad, he could lower the boom. And he just buried him with a cross. He came across and kind of caught him with the hip and the shoulder by the penalty box in the old Forum. So if you want to see, Google Larry Robinson hit on, I think it was Dave the Hammer Schultz. I'm almost sure it was. Anyways, whoever it was just got a lick put on him. And, of course, no one touched Dave the Hammer Schultz unless they wanted to get beat up back in those days. So
it must be weird when you're really a tough guy and then the tide starts to change and other people start to manhandle you. That must be an interesting a psyche that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I
I've
think
never had to deal with it.
on this show, never had to, so we can talk about it because we're experts. But I look at, we look at hockey, and that's a good point. You look at the UFC, these guys are all so tough. These guys in hockey, these tough guys are the heavyweights. If you want, these guys are all tough. But you watch the UFC, and Father Time, they say is undefeated. But as these guys get older, maybe their priorities change. Maybe, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're not just quite training as hard, or there's the new guys coming up is hungry. And you see it in UFC, and you kind of used to see it a lot more in the NHL and in pro, where the young guys would come in and start to kind of take on the older guys. But
well, it's just gotta be there becomes a point in your life where pain isn't fun anymore, or being punched in the face isn't just it's hard to get up for. I heard a great interview the other day. I'm gonna give a shout out for Spit and Chicklets. I listened to the George Larocque interview, and they talk about how he started fighting and what his career was, and it's a very interesting interview, because he was such a different guy. He was a happy-go-lucky guy. He was just happy, until he had to fight, and then it was time. You know what he said? He said him and his father didn't get along, and he used his father. Every time he fought somebody, he was fighting his father.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some issues.
I realized we were going so deep, but that explains a lot. And he was, when he played, he was, I would say, obviously he was feared for as tough as he was, but he was never a guy that was, he was an honest guy, like as a tough guy, and he didn't have to be honest. He could go around and face wash people and cross-check people all he wanted. No one was going to do anything, or very few. I remember one night that I mic'd up when he was in Arizona, he was playing with, I think it was Edmonton then. He was fighting a tough kid from Arizona, and they're having a chat on the draw, and they got him mic'd up. And he's talking to this guy on the draw, and it was just outside the blue line. And before they dropped the gloves, he goes, "Okay, good luck." And he squares off. And I forget the name of it was a big kid Arizona had. I guess they might even be called Phoenix back then. But these guys, that's the toughest job in sports, and the guys that have longevity and that somehow find a way to keep doing it and stay sharp and be able to also be able to play the game, which is a gift. And, if you look, we've talked about this before, and we can move on, but after the Tom Wilson incident with the Rangers this year, where that all hell broke loose after that, where he grabbed Panarin, it's going to be interesting to see if we don't start heading back to the day of every team having a couple more guys on their squad that can kind of keep everyone at bay, because New York didn't have anyone to go after. He talks
about that. He talks about that in the interview, how he can run roughshod in the league because there's very few. Ryan Reeves, I think is one that slows him up, and maybe one other one. I can't put a name to it, but Larocque was back to a different size player too. He was over 250, right? He was about 250, 255 running in the league. So
yeah, he was a big guy, and I think he's got to be 6'3" at least.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference, with a lot of these guys, they had to kind of fight their way to get there, and so but a guy like Tom Wilson, he can play on your power play. He can kill penalties. He does that in Washington. He can play a regular shift for you. So I would think some of these guys, one day maybe we'll get lucky enough to ask one of them, the tough guys, is, do you really think he needs to do all the other stuff he does? And we'll see if Tom Wilson changes next year, if the league changes for Tom Wilson type players, where, it's going to be interesting to watch, because there's a premium on making sure guys like Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews of the worlds can play the game. The Nathan McKinnons, that they're not, people are taking liberties out there, because this is who people are paying big money, and these TV stations are paying big money to broadcast. So I didn't know about that interview on Spitting Chicklets with Larocque. So it sounds like something that People might want to just check out, because you know what, there's so much more, it sounds like, in that interview than just talking about hockey and
one more thing we'll leave off. One day I would like to talk about it when we get some players on here, maybe, and some strength coaches. He is a vegetarian, and he swears that he got stronger as a vegetarian. So I would like to maybe we'll talk to somebody about that, because it's a very interesting thing. Well, this is the last week we do the podcast where there's 31 teams in the league. Next week there will be 32 teams in the league with a roster. Jeff,
hey, should we do? I was just thinking. Hey, should we beat Elliot and Jeff Merrick to it and do 32 thoughts?
We do 32 thoughts. We should have tater tots, and we should do 32 tater tots. 32 tots.
Sorry, I just thought that. I was like, finally dawned on me. Well, it's 31. Why it's 31 thoughts?
Is that why? That would have been hilarious if we
thought about it.
We should have stole the name just beforehand. All the got them to pay us for the social medias and stuff and the websites.
Oh my God!
Did you really
Well, I just thought about it. I didn't. It's not like I was sitting there thinking, going, "Hey, why do they do 31 thoughts?" I just like those two guys, and I like listening to what they have to say. So,
one of the better. This podcast is all about talking about other podcasts that do much better than us.
We're trying to find a way to break through in Australia. We just can't do it.
Listen to us, and we'll tell you what podcast to listen to.
That's right. Yeah.
We're the Cliff Notes podcast.
We'll get it down to 10 or 15 minutes, pump on the other podcasts, and then we'll sign off so you can go listen to them. But, well, we tried to interview a hockey player. We got to give everyone that. We tried. We talked about it last week. We're going to try harder, so that's going to happen soon. But I threw you off, I think, Mr. Bagg. Sorry.
Well, we're gonna pick some players. We're gonna pick 30 players to Let's go. Let's start with Anaheim. Let's go with Anaheim.
Okay, you can start with Anaheim.
I can start with Anaheim. Okay.
Yeah.
I would pick, and he's an unrestricted free agent. No, I wouldn't. No, I lied. Hold on. I was hoping you would say somebody.
I told you. I got a lot of the teams, but I don't have it in front of me. I got all my stuff. I didn't write it down. I looked at it yesterday, so I got some good ones on some of them. But
I would go with Hayden Fleury.
Okay, I thought about him too. Not a bad pick for people who don't know. Young defenseman, good skater.
1.3.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
The only other one that I would have thought of was Ryan Getzlaf, but he's an unrestricted free agent, so I don't think you would be able to keep him or be worth keeping him.
No.
Okay, let's move on to Arizona. Okay,
Goligoski is the guy in Arizona I'll take. And the reason I'll take him, he's a veteran defenseman. There's a lot of superstar, a lot of power out there for Seattle to take, but they have to be able to defend at some rate as they get their team together and figured out. This is like they're going to throw all these guys together. So Goligoski is a defenseman from Arizona that's who I would take.
Goligoski is an unrestricted free agent, though. Do you think that's a good?
I'm going to take him and give him a couple years up there. I like him.
To be honest with you, I would say 3/4 of the players on Arizona are unrestricted free agents that haven't got deals. Mm-hmm. So I would go with Cam Dineen, which is a restricted free agent.
Okay.
Because that means you can make the offer and somebody has to beat it, right?
Right, or he might have arbitration rights too, right? So then he could, decide he doesn't want to play for what you offered him and go and have it arbitrated. So,
okay, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Now we move on to the Boston Bruins. I would go with Nick Ritchie.
Okay. He was much better in Boston, but I like a defenseman again. We're going to have a whole team of defensemen. I believe Lazan is one of them, or Connor Clifton. So those would be my two picks.
I didn't think about Connor Clifton.
Thanks for coming. But you got to get some youth in there. You got to get some. It's really touchy on the back end to me, and that's what Vegas did. They went big on D, and then these guys all have some value. You could try and move them on as well. Like you're not you might end up with 12D, and everyone in the league knows you got to get rid of them, but they do have some value, especially if they've got a fair amount of NHL experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Nick Ritchie. No, I just think brings some toughness to the team. I watched Nick Ritchie play a couple times, and I liked it. We're going to the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to go way out there and risk it. And I picked this name knowing he had an injury, but then after I picked this name, I don't know if he's long term and out, which I don't know if they can put him on if he's long term, right?
Okay.
Kyle Okposo.
Wow, you're gonna take okay. Well,
Yeah.
I gotta go. He hasn't done what they kind of wanted in Buffalo. He came from the Islanders, and he'd had a good go there. But the guy that I look at, that in Buffalo, I mean, there's a bunch of guys you could go for, but the guy I look at is Jeff Skinner. But the problem there is he makes so much.
$9 million.
You could maybe do a deal with Buffalo and say, hey, if we take them, you guys hold some cap space, hold some money back, and we get a draft pick. And Buffalo might vote to get most of that off their books. They might be more than happy to do that. And there's someone else I looked at in Buffalo as well, but since we got to get moving here, I'll just go Skinner.
All right then. I'm sure you were the other one that you might have looked at. Well, no, I won't even bring it up. I'm not even going to bring it up. Now we're going to Calgary Flames, and I'm going to go right to Mark Giordano.
Yeah.
$6.7 million Canadian.
Again, I like him. That's where I would go to.
I don't think that's a tough one to pass up, right?
You just, when you get someone hands you a guy with that kind of ability and leadership and what he's done, you get an opportunity to build a team around a guy like that. You got to go for it. So, yep, I like him.
We're going to the Carolina Hurricanes, which has got a lot of talent out there right now. And I am going to go with Nino Niederreiter, $5.2 million left wing. I just like the way he plays, gets into trouble, can score goals. Just exciting for me.
Okay, is Morgan Geeky, is he available, or is he?
Yes.
There's a young guy, but there's also a guy named Jack Bean in Carolina who I would go with. And the reason I like Niederreiter, again, another defenseman. We're not going to score, but we're not going to give up any. Here's the problem with you start going with these guys like, Niederreiter makes $5 million. The last guy I picked, Skinner's $9 million. Unless you can get some relief, you don't want to have all these guys. You don't want to be at 80 million or 81 million with 14 guys picked. And that's where the problem's going to be. Some of these guys may be very attractive, but you need cost certainty because the cap is going to be flat for the foreseeable future. And and Seattle is going to want to try and maybe take some guys, but they're also going to want to spin some guys off and get draft picks in return. So we'll see. But I like Jack being there.
Very nice. Now we go to Chicago Blackhawks. Now I'm going to pick one guy, but I don't know because he's a restricted free agent. They haven't got how much he's being paid right now, and that is Adam Gaudette. So I don't know if he's good for our arbitrary rights either. Gaudette, to me, you know what? I mean, if I look at that list, there's some serviceable players there. Gaudette's a younger player that was a high pick. But looking at what Chicago had offered, I probably would lean towards Gaudette myself again as well. Okay. Now we go to the Colorado Avalanche, and this is where we skid into the ditch and get a little stuck because I'm very much under. I like to think the same thing, which is don't get caught up in it. But I think I don't think you leave Gabriel Landeskog on the board with the anger that he's having right now with Colorado.
Well, he's got to be able to sign with you too, though, right? You have a window to sign him right now, but if he doesn't sign with you, he becomes a unrestricted free agent on the 28th. So what you could try
but I think you have to risk that. I think you roll the dice on that. I don't think because I don't think you get a chance at a player like that again.
No, you don't. But he's driving the bus here, right? He's got all the gem. He's got all the gold. He's got it all. So what you got to do is either, if you take him, you have to have him signed, and or you have to have a deal done with another team where it's a sign and trade. So, but where, like, here's the thing, right? He's going to be a free agent on the 28th of July anyway. So I'm not sure where that one goes, but I'll give you a name. JT Compher would be a guy I'd have a long look at, about $3.5 million, and really, really sound player. They got a couple guys there that you could look at, but obviously Landeskog, you'd be a fool not to try and track him down and see where he's at. But my second pick there would be JT Compher. Real good centerman, can move up and down in your lineup. Probably give you good minutes at number 2 center, and for sure number 3.
Okay, now we move on to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I will go with Gabriel Carlson, defenseman, $725,000.
Okay.
All right. You're going to probably ask me.
The guy there that they're talking about again is Max Domi, makes a little bit more, and so, but he can come in, he can play wing, he can play center. And again, they might be picking some guys just so people, they might not be picking all these guys for themselves. They might be picking these guys to trade, like to funnel them through for someone else from another team, and or move them back somewhere else for draft picks. So
the reason I don't go with Max Domi is he's moved off the Montreal Canadiens, and the Montreal Canadiens go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay, fair enough.
There's some sort of trouble. There's some sort of trouble there.
Fair enough.
Here comes, when there's smoke, there's fire, young man. When there's smoke, there's fire, they used to tell me. Come on now. Now we're the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars had a tough season. I think this is the first time you take a goaltender. I think you take Ben Bishop.
I'm gonna go with Blake Como, or no, I'm gonna go with Blake Como. He makes about $2.5 million a year. You got to find some guys on the wing. Going to give you some energy. He's a guy, or Andrew Cogliano. There's my two.
Cogliano is an unrestricted free agent, and I may have, I don't know. You know what? Can I take it back? Because I was trying to be cocky, and I've already picked. Son of a bitch. Okay.
Hey, I don't have anywhere to be the rest of the afternoon, so we're good.
Well, hopefully nobody else does either, because I'm about to have a meltdown. I'll stick with Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop, which he's been around the league and back again, and I don't know why I'm picking him when there's other things on the board. Okay, we're off to Detroit Red Wings.
Okay, I'm going to go with Troy Stetcher, another defenseman, but I like the way he plays. He's got a manageable contract, and he would have some other teams in the league who'd be interested in adding him as a 5 or 6. And there's another team that missed him. He was in Vancouver, and that was very noticeable last year. Not the biggest guy, but he plays with everything he's got. And I really watched him come through Vegas the first few years. We went down and watched. I like him.
I'm with you on Troy Stetcher. Had a great Worlds. What were they at? Whether it's a Worlds? And I think I think this is Stevie Y's first mistake that he's ever made. I think he should have protected him. $1.7 million.
No, I don't know about that, but
really,
yeah, I like Stetcher, but Stevie's pretty shrewd. You got to get up pretty early in the morning, get ahead of him. So
approximately 8:22 in the morning, you've got to get up.
Yeah, definitely 8:21 for sure.
Here comes the best team in the league, according to many people that are drunk on their own brew, the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh boy.
Starting it up. I love it when you get up. I'm gonna go with Kyle Turris at 1.65.
Okay. I think there's a young trying to think of their listing. Oh, the guy I would go for, another defenseman, but I would try and sign him and then maybe move him, is again, you have to kind of have some certainty on this stuff when you do it. But if Adam Larson is a guy that I would definitely like to see could plug in, we think, or at least I think, Seattle's got an outside chance to contend for playoffs this year. You need to have a guy like like an Adam Larson, because we saw how those bigger defensemen, especially the way they called the playoffs this year, were able to kind of take over games. And he's a big guy. Yep.
I thought you were going to go with Oscar Klefbom. Is what I thought you were before you said Adam Larson.
Too many injuries. There's too much uncertainty there with him.
That's true. It is interesting how some of these guys are made just a little bit more brittle. Florida Panthers. Well, you see some guys, they go into the corners and you're like, oh, that guy's never going to walk again. They pop back up. And then other guys are just skating down the ice and fall apart, you know. I can't remember who it is in Vancouver. Is it Edler or was one of them? You're just like, what the hell? He loves to watch the game. We're going Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers. Who I'm going to say this. I thought it was a stupid thing to buy out Yandel, because I think you could have put Yandel on here and they would have somebody would have chosen somebody, obviously Seattle.
Well, there's obviously other guys they're worried about that they had to expose. I think they take the young goalie Drager there. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but there seems to be, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's kind of hearing his name tied to Seattle. And if you're looking to bring in a young guy behind an established veteran, he might be your guy. Again, it's cost certainty. They could spend up to the cap, but whether or not they will is another thing, because we see what happens to all these teams that are tight against the cap.
I'm going to go with Brandon Montour. You have to sign him, but I think it's another defenseman that you got to get in there. Brandon Montour. Okay, shake your head, walk away from it.
Okay, I'm just trying. Hopefully we can keep it under an hour today, so we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Well, we're at the Los Angeles Kings, and the Los Angeles Kings, I was debating on Bishop or Quick, right? And I took Bishop, and the reason I took Bishop is because of Frick, Martin Frick. He's got one of the hardest shots I've ever seen. I was at a game one night and he took a shot and I was like, what the fuck was that? It was insane. So I'm going with FRK. I think he's from the Czech Republic, Martin.
Yep, it sounds like a Czech Republic. I would probably at this point, depending on what else is out there, start looking down at maybe some of the younger guys on the list that LA has exposed. So that's kind of where I would go there. Frick was in Detroit. He kind of had a little bit of a good start there. Then it kind of cooled off. He's been in their organization. I would be looking for a younger player from Los Angeles. Like
Blake Lizette, Lizotte.
Well, he's an energy guy, young guy that could help you out. He's
Would you go with him or Austin Wagner?
I would be more inclined to go with a young guy like Wagner, who, again, a third line kind of energy winger, kills penalties for you, gets a breakaway or two a game. If he can work on his hands a little bit and his scoring ability, which that's a gift, but if he can work on it, this kid gets so many chances. He could be a 15, 20 goal scorer with the amount of chances Austin Wagner gets in a game over the course of the season. So yeah, that's where I would go. A little younger there. We are on to the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild are tough for me because I think Ian Cole's not coming back, and he's got to be signed. A lot of people want him, right? From what I've heard, so I would try to go with the sign and trade with Ian Cole. Okay, I'm going to go with the backup goalie there, the young kid again.
Capo Cameron.
Yeah. So now you have two goalies. Both of which, if you had to start the season with, you could, but that's kind of where I would go there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, now we're at the Montreal Canadiens, and everybody says you've got to go with Carey Price. I've already spent a lot of money on a goalie, so what the hell? I'll put another $10 million into goalie. I'm going to go with Carey Price.
We could talk about Montreal till we're blue in the face. So all of a sudden, Shea Weber injuries are so much that he might not play again, and he's exposed to Montreal. He led the NHL. He was third in ice time in the playoffs in the NHL this year. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but this either, he had to gut it out to get there if they're talking about putting him on long-term injury, which makes what Montreal did even more amazing. Now we're starting to hear injury questions about Carey Price. my take on that would be, my first thing is, because I said you're going to spend a lot of money on some guys, I would have 100%. I would have Carey Price if he had any health at all. His wife's from Washington State. He's from just up the street in Anaheim, British Columbia, not too far. Be a huge boon for them to get him. Yeah, he costs a lot of money. The question is these health questions that are all of a sudden coming up, and you just have to wonder what's going on there. And
he can't play
against the clock.
He can't play any less than he has lately in Montreal. You know what I mean?
No. So, but I would have him there. I think and then you got these two younger goalies to protect him. Now that's not. I don't think you have to. If you put Drager down in the minors, that you'd have to. I'd have to look, but I don't think you have to worry about waivers. So if he was healthy, could go. That's kind of how I would go there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very nice. That's very nice. That's very. It's weird, you know, that whole Montreal thing, leaving him exposed. Obviously, it might give him the way to get out of town without becoming the enemy. You know, because
there's lots going on there in Montreal right now. So, and I know my understanding is a lot of teams around the league are kind of like going, "What is this all about? Where'd this come from?" So, your two most valuable players, Shea Weber and Carey Price, get exposed for the expansion draft.
Do you know? Is there anything left in that contract, the trade contract with Nashville? Because I remembered it was some sort of thing that if Weber didn't play last year, or the year before, for sure, that it could have like bankrupted somebody.
Well, what's happened here is Shea Weber, if he retires, then Montreal and Nashville take the hit for the rest of his contract because he got traded from Nashville and Montreal. If he goes on long-term injury, then it's good. Montreal gets that $7 million back or $8 million, and they can put it to use. But this is really sticky right now, and of course, it doesn't help that the expansion draft's coming up in just a couple days. So there'll be a lot more on this that you can be sure.
Absolutely. Nashville Predators, the team that we're talking about, that just traded away. Didn't just trade away. They traded away Mr. Weber. By the way, great barbecues. Weber barbecues. I don't know if you've ever owned one. Fantastic. Let's see. I really don't know. You know, it's one of those things where they're like, I don't watch that team, so I don't know. Let's
throw some names out there.
Okay. Nick Cousins would be one that sticks out to me. Matt Duchene, no, for $8 million.
Okay, here's the guy that they're going to be looking at is Johansson, the big centerman. This guy is a top 1 or 2 center in the league, but he makes $8 million. So let's just say,
where did he come from?
He was in. Was he in Columbus before?
He was in Columbus.
Yeah. So, anyways,
he was trouble in the dressing room in Columbus.
Okay. So
that's what I'm going to say.
That's what you're going to say. Well, he makes $8 million, so there's no question he can play top minutes for you. But and I don't know if he's got ties out to that area or not. I think he might be a Vancouver kid. So again, you might be getting these guys and paying something for them, but you might, on the upside, it might be huge. So Johansson's my pick from Nashville.
Mine is going to be. I'm going to go with the one that Nick Cousins. That's why I'm going to go with him for 1.5. What the hell? Put him in there. Then we go to New Jersey Devils. I'm just going to go for PK Subban. I'm picking him just because he does the way his game may have fallen, but I like the way he embeds himself in a community. And I think he would be great for that community. We talked about another guy that didn't get exposed was the guy with the crazy beard and no teeth in San Jose. That would have been my other one. I would have picked him over PK, but I'm going to go with PK. There we go. Boom.
Okay. Is Will Butcher? Is he in there as well?
Will Butcher is at $3.73 million.
So there we go again. I'm back on the defenseman train, but without looking, and I don't have their list right in front of me. When I look through it, that's a name that stuck out with me.
Colton White might be another one.
Well, the thing is with PK does bring a lot off the ice, which a new team needs. Like, they got to find a way to get into that community. But PK makes $9 million, and the way you're going, Lord Bagg, we're going to have about $175 million payroll.
Doesn't mean they all end up there, though. It doesn't, right? As long when does it be careful.
Well, here's the problem. if you bring all these guys in and you're at 95 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the other guys are circling. Like, you know what? It's like you've baited the water for them now because they know you got to get rid of 14 or 15 million to get cap compliant. So I'm not saying that a guy like him might not get picked and move somewhere else. 100, you might be right on the money. I'm just trying to go with younger players in some cases where and plug in veterans where I can. And the conversations going on must be just nonstop for Seattle and the rest of the teams right now. So I'm going to go with Will Butcher.
Okay. All right. We're moving on to New York Islanders. New York Islanders, I have two that I like. I like Josh Ho-Sang, who's a right winger, but he's unrestricted, and I don't know what his last contract was.
Okay, who's the other one?
And the other one is Sebastian Aho, defense, $725.
Okay, my guy there is Josh Bailey, because I know that if Josh Bailey
$5 million. You're telling me about being at $95 million.
Yeah, but I just, here's the thing is I know that guy's got some value in the market, and I don't imagine he's five. Like, see, I take a guy like Johansson from Nashville. I know he's got 4 years left, but if I take a guy like Bailey, he's probably got 1 or 2 left, and I know I can move that deal. You have to be certain if you're taking a guy like Carey Price or Johansson, who have long-term on their deals and make a lot of money, that these guys are fits for your organization, which, when I saw Carey Price's name came up, I was like, it's almost like, how can you not take this guy? You're going to get a big push of adrenaline from him being back out west. His wife's from Washington State. In a case like Josh Bailey, I just really like the player. And I'm like, if I got to live with him for 2 years, then I'm more than happy to, because I know he can slot in on one of my top 2 lines.
All right, then. Thanks for telling me to shut it. Now we're at the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers, I'm going to go with Mason Gertson, $725 out of New York. He's a defenseman. I think he's got upside. So I'm going to say Mason.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to go up front with them, and who was I? It was some. Give me a couple of their forwards.
Colin
again,
Blackwell, Brodzinski, Giuseppe Fontaine, Gauthier,
no,
Gettinger, Barley Goudreau, Greco.
Barclay Goudreau is an unrestricted free agent, right?
Yes.
And they left him unprotected.
Yes.
There you go. Goudreau.
Why do you say that? Why do you
not
say
even close? Because here's the thing about Goudreau.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play in your top 9. Okay, so that third line was unbelievable for Tampa, and he was part of it. He made $925,000 last year. So even if I double his salary or I triple it for what he brings, someone else, I'm picking him because I'm going to sign and trade him if he doesn't want to play with me. And somebody's going to give me something to get his rights before the deadline. That's exactly what Tampa did. So I think they probably want to sign him in New York and use him there. But if Seattle, I would 100% take him.
We're at Ottawa. So I'm going to go with Ryan Dzingel, left wing, unrestricted free agent.
Okay. There was. I'll go with him too, just for the sake of, like I said, I don't have all their guys in front of me right now, but there was another guy in Nashville. They call him Boro Cop. He was when you said Ottawa, he played in Ottawa the last couple of years as a D. That would have been another guy I would have definitely considered. He's got a lot of he's just a gritty player, but he's a defenseman too. And you can't have a million of them, but Ottawa, I'll go with Dzingel too. They got a lot of young guys there, and they got some other guys when I looked at their list that they probably are just trying to move on from, and Dzingel would probably be one of them.
What I wish they'd do? They'd start putting left D, right D on these. I think they need to let us know.
But it doesn't really matter anymore. I mean, you go offense, you got 5 offense guys. It's the D are in the play all the time. I think for offside wings, you don't want to have 6 left-handed defensemen on your team or 6 right-handed defensemen, but it's not as big a deal as it used to be.
Yeah. Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to go with a guy that's struggled the last couple of years, but I think he's got it. Shane Ghost Spear.
Okay.
That $4.5 million. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Voracek. And if I go with Voracek, that helps me maybe not take a guy like Ryan Johansson, even though Voracek makes a lot. Maybe I'm able to take someone else from Nashville. So I'm going to go with Voracek. I like him. I think he's ready to hit the gas.
He's also ready to get out of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Anybody that saw his interview last year when he was going at it with that reporter,
that was awesome.
That was must-see TV. Yep. So
yeah. Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm going with Brandon Tanev, right wing, $3.5 million.
Probably go with you on that one too. Another guy that they're going to have a long look at, it most likely is Jason Zucker, but Zucker is a Vegas kid. And there's a guy that you could see them pick up, hold some money, and move him somewhere else. There was talk about him coming to Vegas. He's the kind of guy that he's not the biggest guy, but he plays very hard and he's a terrific skater. So look for them to take a guy like him as well.
Nice. Now we move on to San Jose Sharks. I'm going to take Curtis Gabriel, right wing, unrestricted free agent.
You're going to go with the tough guy. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go with Radim Simic. I think that's Shimmick, defenseman. And the reason I'm going to do that is because they play in my division, and Shimmick is a good young D, and he is definitely got some marketable value, but I would like to plug him in on my right side in Seattle.
St. Louis Blues. I'm going to go with Kyle Clifford.
Okay. I like him. Very affordable deal. The guy that everyone's going to look for out of St. Louis is Tarasenko. And those guys, you just don't get them. The question is can he stay healthy? So again, trying to keep your cap down, a guy like Kyle Clifford come in and play in your fourth line and be unbelievable for you. Do a lot of good things. He's won Stanley Cups. He's been in big games. I'm going to go with Tarasenko there. And if he doesn't want to come play for us, maybe we can work out a deal with another team.
Very nice. We're going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning just won the Stanley Cup, according to the newspapers.
Yes.
Yanni Gourde. I'm going to go with Yanni Gourde, centerman at 5.16.
So this is the embarrassment.
I'm going to say Yanni Gourde. Did you enjoy the sunshine? Because you ain't going to get it anymore. Get on the plane. Get up here. That's what I'm saying.
I like that pick a lot. That's a guy I really looked at too. There are a couple other guys that stick out to me there. Andre Palat is another guy that was phenomenal in the finals. So you could go with Gourde or Palat. They're making about the same. There's another one in there that's Kaloran, that winger, is making 4.5. You have these guys that make around 4.5 to 5 million that are just great players. The problem is you can only pick one. There's another young fella named Joseph, the young winger, that doesn't make as much as those guys do. So I would really consider him. I really liked him. He's gritty, he's fast. He played some big minutes for him in the playoffs. And the other kid is Colton, who scored the winning goal for him in the final. You got all these options, but what you could also do is you could do a deal where you take one of these guys, Tampa primes it for you a little bit, sweetens the pot, and maybe instead of taking Gourde or Palat, or you take Kaloran or Joseph, and they give you something. They're probably going to want to make a deal to give away money. So that's kind of if you don't have a real how can you go wrong with Kaloran, Palat, or Gourde, right? I
think there's the only way you can screw up is by taking Patrick Maroon.
Maroon. I mean, Maroon would, and he's most likely going to sign back there with them again. And you're going to hurt Tampa by taking one of those other guys, but you're also going to help them because there's $5 million going to go off their cap.
Absolutely, love hate.
Get them. Yeah,
love hate. Now we move on to Toronto. Toronto has got some things on the. I'm looking. They got 8 guys 2 years younger than me. And then, but you look at, I don't know, do you take Kerfoot or do you take Galchenyuk?
Oh boy.
I don't know which one you take. I really don't.
Well, I can tell you who I don't think they're going to take Galchenyuk just because he's been on about 5 or 6 different teams the last couple of years.
Mhm.
So he found a home in Toronto, but I think the guy you're going to look to, who you're Seattle, you're either going to take Jared McCann, who they just traded from Pittsburgh for, or Kerfoot. Those guys make around 3.5 million. So that
Jared
gives
McCann's
you
cheaper by about about $600,000.
yeah. So that's where I would go there myself. But Kerfoot, obviously, again, they might take one of these guys and move them on through for a high draft pick from someone else.
Mhm.
But these deals, a lot of these deals are probably already done with these teams. So
we move on to the Vancouver Canucks right now, and you take Louis Eriksson. That's who you take.
and get Christmas cards and presents from everyone in Vancouver. Poor guy, no one's taken more abuse than him.
I would actually that was my juke. That was my juke. But I would take Anton Roussel, $3 million.
I was looking at Vancouver, and there's okay, so we got Roussel, we got Beagle, we got Virtanen, and then there was someone else on that list.
I didn't know Beagle. Yeah, Beagle. Yeah,
Beagle's there. You know what? Brandon Sutter might be a guy that you might want to look at. There's another guy in Vancouver that's skipping my mind right now, but Brandon Sutter's an unrestricted free agent. He might be a guy you look at. There's always, when I watch him, he's capable of doing so much. And I just wonder, in a different situation, he's been in Vancouver for 4 or 5 years now, if it finally clicks for him. Very smart hockey player. He's great on draws, good hands. Kills penalties. So I would definitely be considering him if I was Seattle.
You gotta think about it. We're on to the Washington Capitals, and you gotta take and just get Alex Ovechkin, and then this is how you fuck over another team. You just offer them $300 million. This is one of those things. $80 million a year. I would go with Brendan Dillon. I've always thought he's been just a great player.
Okay, so I kind of like that pick too. Dillon got traded out there from San Jose a couple of years ago. Another guy, Schultz, on their back line. And I know what everyone's saying, we're going, you just got to keep picking defensemen and unrestricted free agents. But, Vegas did that. Vegas was heavy on defense, and Vegas picked some unrestricted free agents that they came to terms with.
People are always looking for him. They're always looking for him.
Yeah. So I like Dillon. I'll go with Schultz. It can help run your power play for you. Dillon gives you a little bit of beef and some snarl back there, which they're definitely going to need a little bit of that. And I believe he is a Vancouver kid too. So again, there's a guy that's going to come play close to home and will probably be very comfortable. Their practice facility is going to be north of Seattle, up and around Everett. Probably not more than an hour and a half max driving to go see his family, and there's a lot of Vancouver kids or kids from Lower Mainland that's going to be very appealing to be back out west and be closer to their family.
And finally, we wrap it with the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets. I take Jansen Harkins.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I take Mason Appleton, and there's another interesting one here, and that is the defenseman DeMello, which people really like, and he's very serviceable. But I like
DeMello.
No,
that was my other choice. My other choice was DeMello. Yeah,
well, the reason
he's 2.25 more than Harkins. That's why I went lower with Jansen.
Well, and then Appleton doesn't make much either, and Appleton can absolutely fly. I mean, he makes a ton, right? But he doesn't make that much by pro standards.
Right.
I like that. And then there's another guy that you plug in and you get some youth there, and you try and, I don't know if he's a foundation piece, but I really like him as a player. And then if you find that maybe someone offers you something even better for him, and you decide to go another direction. So,
well, that is, we should make this a two-parter. because it was a long show, my friends. But at the end of the show, Jeff and Ian became the new general managers of the Seattle Kraken, and we will be picking up our Stanley Cup next June. So,
Yeah, we have no idea how much money we spent, but
no,
we're going to figure it out because we're going to now start trading.
yeah, now we're gonna start. I honestly believe with what we picked, just a team that's going to be involved, absolutely involved next year. It's not your dad's Cadillac when they brought in a team and let them just suck for 8 years until they're letting them start really well. So good for the Seattle Kraken. I look forward to it. Yeah. All right, Jeff.
All right.
Shout out.
Yeah, I do. I have this shout out, and I can't think of her last name right now. The lady.
Good shout out.
Yeah, I know. I can think of her first name. It's Dolores. She wrote the Hockey Night in Canada theme song, and she just passed away this week. And anybody that grew up in Canada and anybody who watches any games, I think TSN has bought the rights for that song now. But anybody that up north knows exactly what we're talking about. And this lady was kind of a trailblazer in her. She was in I believe in opera, and she was obviously in music, and she was a artist to put it I guess in the best way I could. And
she died at 94 years old.
Yep.
94 years old.
Yep.
She went to Juilliard in New York. She had a love for jazz. Yeah, I'm trying to find where she was hired to write a theme song that opened CBC's Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, which she didn't get, I don't think, any revenue from for the longest time. And then they finally went up for sale, I think in like 2005 or something. That's when I think 2008 CTV or TSN now has it, bought it up there. But here's someone who's part of our history that I think we need to acknowledge and give a shout out to. So she made a huge impact on all our lives and probably didn't even know it. So thanks to her. And you know what?
Shout out to it. Big shout out to Dolores that song is stuck in every Canadian kid's head that you love or hate hockey. It was Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, and you were going to hear that song somewhere in a house. So yeah, good for her. Good for her for writing and fighting for her rights to the song. So I'm glad she finally got them. Yeah. Any other ones?
That's it. I mean, you got one, right?
Don't leave your nephew out of this.
Okay, I'll bring it up. My nephew, Kalen, is officially an electrician now. He's got the red seal, which means he can work anywhere in Canada. I told him, well, it should mean you should be able to work anywhere in the United States too, right? So come on down. We'll put you to work in Vegas. We need some folks.
Oh, but
good for you, Kalen. I don't know. Yeah, I just
coyoting people across the border.
I guess I better clean up one of the rooms because I guess he's going to come down and stay with us. But I think any young person that puts their mind to something and accomplishes it needs a shout out. So good job, Kalen. And that's all I got. You got anybody? Yeah, I got one. I'm gonna Luke Prokop, he announced that he's gay this week. And my hat's off to him. The thing that's disappointing is that somebody still has to announce it. We're all what we are, and you shouldn't have to announce it. You should just be who you are. So he talks about how he had to fight with it his whole life. So, and he was finally able to be who he is. So good for him. Doesn't change who he is as a hockey player. It doesn't change who he is as a person. Good for you. Good for you, Luke, young man, standing up for hopefully letting people be themselves later on. And yeah, hockey is hockey. It's for everybody. That's what they always say. It's for everybody. All right. So love tall, Jeff. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Lord Bagg and love tall.
Hope you had fun. Make sure you check out ianbagg.com for all your Ian Bagg needs. If you're in Vegas, make sure you drop by the Sharples house. Well, I hope you had fun. Make sure you check out ianbagg.com for all your Ian Bagg needs. I got shows coming up in Virginia Beach. I've got shows coming up in Vancouver. I've got shows coming up in Pittsburgh. I've also got shows coming up in Northern California. That'll take us up to September. And then I'll tell you about the rest of my shows. So go to ianbagg.com, and I hope to see you at a show soon. Take care.